What's something harmless that most people think are dangerous? Watermelon seeds. Gluten. Unless you have celiac disease or another type of gluten sensitivity, gluten is completely fine to eat. MSG. Does dihydrogen monoxide still work? Throwing a lit cigarette on a puddle, or any liquid vessel, of gasoline. The damn thing just turns off. No fireworks at all. Tarantulas. I love my little guy's smiling face with hearts. Marijuana. LGBTQ+. Strangers. If you're going to be hurt, sexually assaulted, or killed, it's most likely going to be by someone you know, and are likely related to. MSG and aspartame. Minorities. Bumblebees. They don't sting. MSG. Black people's smiley face. When I'm walking down the street and you're trying your best to avoid being near me out of fear that I'm gonna steal your purse, I'm bopping to the song in my headphones. You're more worried about me than I am about you. Wind energy. While initial cost to install can be a bit high, they are certainly effective generators using one of the Earth's most easily obtained natural resources and usually will last a fairly long time with proper maintenance. Most footage you see of them falling apart is actually simulations done in computers, and the very few real-life videos of it are due to issues that would have been prevented if proper maintenance had been undertaken, such as failure of the dampening brakes causing the turbine to spin too fast and tear itself apart. They provide virtually no disruption to the ecosystem they are placed in other than some minor effect on birds, but despite what the slim articles will make you think, we have a lot of technologies for keeping birds away from things, and they usually just choose to fly around turbine farms after a few generations anyways. 1. 4-dioxin exposure. It causes a form of acne called chloracne, and that's it. I had an industrial chemistry professor that said there's an entire industry now based around producing unnecessary safety warnings about dioxin exposure and how supposedly deadly it is. This led into a discussion on what it means when a pulp mill says they have no dioxins in their air emissions coming from the plant, and the difference between none and none detectable using current limitations. Going into the dark. Reading in dim light. Bay leaves. Not poisonous. Vaccines. Masturbation. Fiction. Cracking your knuckles. MSG. MSG. Mercury. It's definitely not harmless, but in its pure form it's only about as toxic as lead, so it's relatively safe to touch without gloves as long as you don't have any cuts on your hands and you wash your hands really well afterwards. Mercury compounds, on the other hand, are often much more toxic than pure mercury and are sometimes dangerous to handle even while wearing proper PPE. Driving barefoot. In most cases sharks are harmless, they are just big fishes that aren't very smart. Books. Apparently, people keep banning them as if that isn't somehow dangerous. In Australia, sharks kill 5 people per year, whereas 2,460 people die from human being attacks. Bats. Death metal. Been listening to it for years now, still haven't died from it, not even once. Nuclear reactors. Kind of largely. Well, mostly harmless to people. Not so harmless to loose pets. Florida alligators. Too many people freak out when they see them, and there is rarely any reason to be afraid. I wouldn't walk up and try to pet one though. https://u2.be/w12il2jfim. Dihydrogen monoxide. Intelligence. Ghosts, spirits. Video games. MSG. It's perfectly harmless and makes everything approximately 347% more delicious. Huntsman spiders. They're harmless, they just hurt, no venom or nothing. Not exactly harmless, but poinsettias are a lot less poisonous than people think. You still shouldn't eat them, but it would take a big pile of them to cause ill effects. Genetically modified food. Sharks. Because harmless needs to include only in the ocean, generally not interested in biting people, and not even remotely making the list of killer animals. Food that's one day past the date on the package. Dietary cholesterol. Bees, wasp. 99% of the time if you don't bother them they won't bother you. First-person shooters. Tourists in Canada think that the moose won't rip your body to shreds. But they will. I don't know if this really counts, but cracking your knuckles. Owning most species of snake. Twisting your arm. I can do it well, some people can't, so if you can reply to me. Daddy long legs. Someone put out the rumor they are the most venomous arachnids on Earth. They aren't poisonous, they aren't even spiders. They eat rotting vegetable matter. Black snakes. So many people are so afraid their bite is going to hurt extremely. In reality it's more like getting pinched. They're not venomous, so they can't kill you, and all you have to do is get the back of their head. Nuclear plants. We've created some that basically can't melt down. Pebble bed reactors. We can also use materials besides uranium-238. Me. Read my name. Garden snakes. Not eating for a few days. If you have a decent body fat percentage and you're healthy with no illnesses, you can fast for a few days and your body just lives off fat. I've been eating once every 48 hours and it's been helping me lose good weight, and all my lifting numbers have gone up in the meantime. Vaccines. Dragonflies. Other people's opinions. MSG. That guy that sells weed out of a van that has rape spray painted on the side of it. He's actually super chill. Spiders. While certain ones can be bad, most spiders are pretty harmless to humans. Even if the venomous ones bite you, you're not going to die from it. It's very rare for that to happen. Sitting on a public toilet seat. Unless it's covered in shit, it probably won't hurt you. Huntsman spiders. Psychedelics. They're one of the safest drugs and you cannot really overdose on them. Their half-life is quick. Mainstream media really did give the masses a cartoonish expectation of them. Of course, the exception is those who have psychiatric conditions. But for an average person, it's relatively harmless compared to nearly any other drug. MSG. Nuclear power. It's not completely risk-free, but it's way less harmful than fossil fuels. Wolves in the wild. There are very few cases of wild wolf attacks on humans in North America. Habituation to humans and rabies are the only risk factors. A healthy wolf will try to stay as far from humans as possible. In the world of Trump, it could be anything: 5 grams, vaccines, education, science, telling the truth, people that don't look like you, etc. Staring down the barrel of an unloaded gun when you know the chamber is cleared. Nicotine. It's basically on par with caffeine, besides being more addictive. Nicotine itself actually gives your body a little boost. The delivery of nicotine, in the form of tobacco, is what kills you. Marijuana. Seeing a skunk outside during the day. People think that nocturnal animals never come out during daylight unless they have rabies, but this isn't always the case. During breeding season, a mother skunk will spend her night hunting for food to bring home to her pups. After she takes care of them, she'll go back out to find food for herself, and often this means she'll still be out looking for a meal after the sun is up. Many people kill skunks when they see them out during the day, and I just want to say, please, think of the babies. Will Smith slaps. Consuming food past best before date. They don't magically become poisonous. Snakes. They're not nearly as bad as people make them out to be. No need to chop them to pieces on sight. They aren't going to chase you. They're just as terrified of you. Just keep distance and be respectful. It's really easy. The majority of snakes, most dangerous ones, only bite in defense. They serve a valuable function in the ecosystem. And if your idea of identifying venomous snakes involves color rhymes, getting close enough to look at pupil shape or based on head shape, just leave them all alone. Home spiders. MSG. Touching fentanyl. It doesn't absorb through the skin easily, and most news stories about people touching fentanyl residue and overdosing are actually describing panic attacks. Swallowing gum. Anything unnatural. Evolution gave us a giant brain and precision hands for a reason, folks. Natural has been trying to kill us and use our bodies for material, and keep us from doing the same to itself, for as long as we've existed. Natural is coronaviruses and Yersinia pestis and lions and weeds and plants with spikes and poisons. Artifice, millennia of selective breeding and farming and observation and recording and discovery and invention and engineering, is the reason we are alive. Differing opinions on social media platforms. The silica gel packets that are in shoes and packages to absorb moisture. They're labeled, "Do not eat," because they're a choking hazard, not because they're toxic or anything. Turning on the interior light in a vehicle for like 10 seconds. Being LGBTQ+. Horseshoe crabs. That stinger isn't a stinger, it's a sensory organ. If you see one flipped on its back, don't be afraid to flip it back, as it's hard to flip themselves back over. MSG. Looking at the microwave light. Literally every dentist tool. Nuclear power. Those big black scorpions from the Middle East and Africa that people see in movies. They look nasty, and yes, they can sting you, but it's not going to make a big mark. I've seen some movies where they use those scorpions to kill people. You're not going to have a good time if one stings you, but the smaller scorpions in Arizona and India are the more deadly ones. Free healthcare. MSG has no known negative health effects as far as I know. Dogs. Kissing your dog. I'm sorry, but like you have only heard about a few people getting infections from that. I wasn't rich growing up, but I had 2 dogs, Chomp and nibbles. But anyways, as a kid I didn't know you were supposed to get dental cleanings for your dog. I never did and never got sick BC of my dogs. Haunted houses. The Satanic Temple. MSG. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.